Hello my fellow gamers, today I have a quick video for you that will help you to obtain more frames and trials, dungeons and even PvP. So as you can see here, everything is super fancy on my screen because I chose ultra settings in my video settings, and you can observe my frame at the bottom left of the screen, and right now they are at 120 because I cap my frames at 120. So once I start casting skills, observe what happens. Each skills costs me a couple of frames. So now I casted 3-4 skills and I'm at 100 frames. So that's 5 frames per skill. What happens in group PvP and PvE? Well, it's you and all your friends casting skills and all your enemies casting skills, and all of those skills cost you frames. Why that happens? Well, because they are all cool looking and have all those fog effects and light effects and lightning effects and all sorts of things happening. All of those things are particles that require your graphics card to process them, so they require computational power of your graphics card. The more of those you pile up on the screen, the harder it is for graphics card to process them, obviously. When you go into video settings, right, so we see over here I chose ultra here, everything over here kind of got adjusted. And you would think that's all of the settings that you have access to that you can change, right? And normally what people will do is they go and kind of finesse, well, I like this in this way and this in this way, like change all of those things to adjust for their preferred performance and look of the game. However, there are hidden settings that don't appear in this menu. So as you can see over here, I have this particle density set to 3 right now. So when it's on ultra, this becomes 3. But nowhere here I have access to the setting and I cannot edit it through this menu. When I go and set this to minimum, particle density in that file becomes 0. When I set it to low, it becomes 1, and it kind of scales with this setting over here. And the setting also impacts all of these settings. So what I personally would do in the past, I would set this to high and then go and adjust all of this, remove the things that I don't need to get more frames. But what happens is then there are those hidden settings that I don't control and I don't even know they are there, but they are impacting my frames. So this has pretty direct impact on the frames, especially in newer trials where all these new enemies have all this very cool looking like shards effect and mirrors effects and stuff like that. Like that heavily impacts your performance. So what I would recommend you do going forward is pick this as low. Don't pick minimal, because in minimum particle density becomes 0. I personally didn't test it, but to me it's kind of sus, because when I develop, if I set something to 0, that means it doesn't exist altogether, and you don't want particles to exist because, for example, Lotus Poison, that's particles, and if you don't have enough of computational power to process particles, then you don't see Lotus Poison and then you die to it because you don't see it on the ground. So start with low and click apply. So all those hidden settings will also be scaled to low. So now that the game is reloaded, everything is on low and game doesn't look as pretty as it used to, right? But we do want our game to look pretty because we didn't spend all this time getting our character drip in order not to see it and appreciate it. So now we will go and adjust all of these settings back to where we like them. So for example, texture quality, if you can afford it, set it to high, everything will look slightly better. Anti-aliasing makes the edges of the things more smooth. So you see how leaves over here are kind of frayed, they will become more smooth. But it also makes your outfit a little bit look more blurry. So I prefer not to have it set all together because I like my outfit to look sharper, and I don't really pay attention to those sleeves, to be honest. Then FSR mode, I don't know what it does, but I don't use it. If somebody knows what it does, comment down below, share it with the class. Subsampling quality, if you set it to high, you can immediately see the result over here. It makes everything look a little bit better. Shadow quality, well, you do want to see some shadows because it makes things look more realistic, but you don't really pay attention to them enough to appreciate the high quality shadows unless you're making screenshots, because as you move, like, do you really want to see every strand of the hair of your character on that shadow? Not really, just want to know that the shadow is there for things to look more realistic. Then screen space reflection quality, this is reflection of the water, of the mirrors, of the glossy parts of the things, and this also involves reflections of the different shards and stuff. In, let's say you go to Sandy's Edge Lucent, there's a lot of like reflective surfaces there, so we don't want this to be set too high because a lot of frame loss will come from it in those places where there's a lot of mirror effects. Planar reflections, water will look more realistic, but do you pay attention to this in trials? No, not really. Maximum particle systems, 1200 sweet spot. Less you don't see stuff like such as Lotus Poison. More your computer starts to fry. Like, don't set it too high because impacts performance extremely. Suppression distance and view distance, I put both of those to 56 because that's the size of the arenas where I raid. However, turns out in Lucent in particular, because you open that door and you go through this door and it's such a large scale area, you might need it to set to higher, like 72-ish as a tank, because turns out sometimes the enemies might not appear for you, like this Manticore just doesn't even exist for you until it's already killed somebody. So if you tank and taunting things, this might need to be higher, but as a healer I don't care. Ambient occlusion, what happens is, let's say we have pillar over here and light glows from behind the pillar, it will remove light effect around that pillar, make things look a little bit more realistic. It's very cool for screenshots, but in raid you don't pay attention to it. Not to mention we raid in such dark areas where there's like no sunlight whatsoever. You will not be able to see it. Software occlusion, 100% have it on. What happens is whatever this wall is here, whatever behind that wall is not being processed altogether, so it doesn't take computational power. If I remove it, some of those things behind the wall will start being processed and will start using computational power, but you don't see it. Why would you spend computational power on it? Grass, kind of like a high grass, looks very good to me. Medium also looks fine, nice and bushy. Once it's low, it looks kind of meh, but also not all grass is visible. Like some grass scales too high and doesn't go to ultra because in older zones there was no ultra grass. High was the highest option for it, but in newer zones I guess you will see better grass with ultra. Yeah, I keep this at medium or high, so I like to have bushy grass. Depth of field, what happens is the further distance, the blurry things will get, so it tries to make it like realistic view. Do you need that in trials? No, not really, because I want to see very well defined and not blurry eyes of the Alkosh Fade that I'm trying to taunt and it's not taking my taunt. I want this direct eye contact. I want to look to it in the eye and see that it refused to take my taunt, rather than have that blurry shadow figure that's not taking my taunt. I need that validation, so I don't use depth of field. Character resolution, high is like looks very good. Ultra doesn't look any different to me compared to high. It might be because I use older outfits and skins, so ultra version did not exist back then. Maybe that's why I don't see the difference, so I just keep it at high. Bloom off, as if you turn on bloom, you enter the trial and you pull, you immediately lose ability to see anything, so definitely don't raid with bloom, because that's like direct impact on your awareness. You just don't see anything. Distortions, it looks very cinematic on videos. You don't pay attention to it in trial and it takes frames, so you don't need it. Sunlight rates, sometimes you ride down the road somewhere in high isle and sun is shining, makes you feel happy. But really in trials there is no sun, so we don't see effect of that. But if you like ride around to your next dolmen, want to feel happy sometimes, could keep it on. Additional ally effects, obviously off. You don't need to see them because it's direct impact on your awareness. They cover actual effects that you want to see on the ground, so keep it as off. Click apply. Now it will reload and we will see the results. So we updated all those settings and everything looks still decent. Look at those sunlight rays that I was talking about. Doesn't it make you feel happy? Sun is shining. I need to go touch grass. Anyway, let's cast our skills. So I'm casting and I'm at solid 120. And I cast same amount of skills and it's still 120. And remember, I cap it at 120, so actually I'm getting more frames, but my computer is not processing more than that. Noticeable impact on the performance on the game, and my game doesn't look much worse than it looked when I had it at ultra. Like, my character is very nice and defined, my outfit looks cool, the grass is there, the tree looks nice, the textures are nice. So everything looks very decent to me and enjoyable, yet I have obtained extra frames. So once you did all of this, all these adjustments, your settings still are in RAM, which is short-term memory of your computer. You want the settings to propagate to your user settings.txt file so that when you load the game next time, it uses this new updated better settings. And for that to happen, you need to fully close the game through actual quit the game properly so it saves all the settings into that file, and next time you load the game it uses those new settings. If you for whatever reason crashed, you updated all of the settings and you crashed, they will not save into the file. So next time you load, you go back to your old settings. Do yourself a favor, set it up in advance, close the game, open the game, and raid with all the frames that you deserve in a trial. This is all I have for today. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I wish you best of luck in your Tamriel trial adventures.